Amarillo, Pueblo, and Albuquerque, and all three venues have been really windy. So we've been fighting the wind all fall. We head to Chico this next weekend, and we're hoping we won't face as much wind there. But a lot of our guys are really working on trying to learn how to better play in the wind and keep the spin off and hit a little bit more club and not hit it as hard. And that's been a real challenge for us so far. And we really haven't pieced together a good 3-round tournament. We've started slowing some, and then others we've been like not as good in the second round, and we really need to piece together 3 good rounds.
Yeah, you mentioned this, the consistency of playing 3 rounds together. Is that more to do with the changing of the lineup every time? You know, a lot of guys have played this fall already. Does that have something to do with it, or is it just the courses have been harder with the wind?
We're a little young. We've got 7 guys with 4 years experience. These are the horses here, and you know, these are the guys I rely on. But we need our 4th and 5th man to really step up, and that's where the inconsistency has really come from. And we're really young we've got 3 redshirt freshmen and 4 true freshmen. So you know, those guys are going to contribute quite a bit off into the future. But we're just a little inconsistent in our number 4 and 5 men.
And then you mentioned earlier going out to Chico this next week. Tough field from what I see. What do you see?
It'll be a big, tough field with a lot of West Coast teams, and it was one I've gotten to know the Chico coach a little bit, and it was one that I thought we would want to go see how good we are. So it'll be a good test for us. We haven't seen the course before, so that'll be a little bit of a disadvantage, but I got faith in our guys that will perform.
Questions?
Troy, has been harder to kind of evaluate your own performance given how windy it's been the last 3 tournaments?
I actually like the wind. I feel like the wind eliminates half the field before you even tee off. I'm also, as Coach said, I'm an old guy now. So
an old horse.
Right. You learn a lot about what makes playing golf in the wind doable, because it's really challenging. I think I see a lot of the young guys like pulling clubs that I'm like, this ought to be interesting, and then they swing really hard into the wind and it puts more spin on the ball and it goes further offline than you would have hit it offline, you know, if you were playing in the wind. So I think, you know, it's been kind of a frustrating fall. You know, this is my last go around, and you know, I would have liked to have a stronger fall. But going forward, I got a lot of positives. I think these guys do too, and you know, it's really about piecing together 3 solid rounds. That's when it gets tough in the wind, is to be consistent for 3 rounds and to not let yourself mentally quit before the whistle blows, before you hole out that last putt.
Does it get easier to quit when it is windy?
It's golf, man. It's easy to quit when you tee off and hit your first tee shot. It's very mentally exhausting to be out there and to, you know, barely miss a shot and see the wind multiply it by 100, and you're just always fighting an uphill battle. And that's why I think the guys that can win in their mind are the ones that get it done out on the course.
Right. You mentioned some of the positives for your guys' futures and this being your last year. What do you think some of those positives are?
Like in terms of this year? Or?
Yeah, this year.
Positives this year, I'd say we're getting, for the younger guys, there's a few of them that are playing they're getting a lot of experience, so that'll definitely help out the team in the coming years. So positives for me is last year I want to play good, so really been working hard, just more short game stuff, and just the big part about it, especially like we've been talking about playing in the wind, is major key of playing in the wind is you just want to be in play off the tee and then know where your misses are around the greens. It's really easy to have a big miss. The wind exemplifies everything, so when you're playing in the wind, you just kind of want to just ply your way around the golf course and know where to hit it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Same question again.
All right. Well, having one more year left after this is a little different for me, but losing these two guys next year, it's been good to see some of the freshmen like start to step up already so far in the fall. And I know if you ask them, they wouldn't be like super pleased probably with how they've played, but from my standpoint, I see a lot of potential. So going into next year, that's a positive, and the rest of this year, getting them even more experience will help, because next year we'll have pretty much 4 openings in the top 5 once these 2 leave and Isaac leaves as well. So just getting them an experience, and then from my standpoint so far, just positives have been trying to just play simpler golf, I guess. Like, I've had a pretty good start to this season, and from my perspective, I'm just trying to simplify things, avoid big numbers, and take advantage of the easier holes, and then just focus more on the harder holes, trying to make par and get through those, which I kind of struggled a little bit with last week, so hopefully I can improve on that this week.
See, and you guys, obviously, you've played in the wind, but you've also played at altitude. And now you're gonna go next week to sea level. How does that play into the game, and is it even more mental than?
I'd say so. It's almost a lot to me like an ego thing, because when you play at altitude, it's all about like how far you're hitting it, and whenever like people come from sea level to altitude, all they can talk about is like, oh, I'm hitting my clubs like 20 yards farther. But for us living here and then going to sea level, it's a lot harder to like commit to hitting more club than you need to, because like here you're like, oh, 150 yards, let's say that's a pitching wedge. But once you go to sea level, depending on the conditions, it might even be 8-iron, and it's just more of a mental thing to get over like how far the ball actually is going to go, and realize that it's not going to go as far, and you can't try to get too much out of something, and that's when it's going to start going downhill. So I'd say it's a lot of mental stuff.
It's depressing.
Club up, club up, club up, club up.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where Kyle nailed it. I mean, it's an ego thing, and a lot of guys hate that. Like, it really bothers them. But we play golf in Colorado all the time. I mean, you know, there's a lot of really, really good schools that play all their golf at sea level. So I think, you know, the guys that we're going to take to Chico all hit it far enough that it's not an issue, you know. So really, if you can just do the math properly, it's just about controlling what you can, you know, the math. Okay, so, you know, 6% or whatever, add that on top of it, pull the club and hit it like you hit any other shot. Colorado.